Human friendship is a very powerful concept. If a person makes friends sincerely, empathizing with his comrade, respecting him and supporting him, as they say, both in trouble and in joy, then people carry this good feeling through their whole lives, and only death can break this union. The animal world feels this no less deeply, and sometimes it happens that animals become more devoted friends than people. The story that I want to tell you happened to me in 1995 in the city of Lubin. At that time I was 11 years old. It was the time of summer holidays and I came to rest with my parents to my grandparents. From early childhood I loved the forest and nature. In my native suburbs, this was enough for me in abundance, but the forests of the Leningrad region with their swamps, trenches left after the war and sometimes impassable thickets were a real exotic for me. Entire myriads of mosquitoes, swamps and hummocks, thorns and impassable thickets of raspberries, for me at that time it was a whole event. On one of the fine days, which is already a small holiday in those parts, since it can sometimes rain for a week, and the sun stubbornly does not want to appear because of lead clouds, we went to the forest for mushrooms. Me with my cousin and my dad. Suddenly, at the edge of the forest, I noticed an incomprehensible red spot. It contrasted sharply with the surrounding foliage and needles. Dad also noticed this and decided to see what was the matter. Coming closer, we saw that a stork was lying in the grass. Not sitting, but lying down. Actually, his red beak attracted our attention. Seeing our approach, the stork did not move, although he was alive. Dad gently turned it over to the other side and a sad picture appeared before our eyes. One of the wings was broken. Moreover, a fair bunch of maggots were swarming under the broken wing. Dad took off his jacket and carefully wrapped the wounded bird in it. We forgot about mushrooms for a moment. When they got home, they brought the stork to the garage. It is worth noting that the bird did not resist at all, apparently seriously exhausted. Dad chopped off the diseased wing with an axe, which was broken in half and treated the wound with ordinary green paint. I carefully covered the wound with a bandage. Then we moved the bird to an old chicken coop. At that time my grandmother no longer kept chickens, so a small shed with a platform covered with sand and surrounded by a steel mesh was empty. The first days were the most difficult. The stork drank water little by little, but we did not know what to do with food. And suddenly I remembered that I read in books about nature that storks catch frogs. I cheerfully remember how my sister and I caught this French delicacy for him and the stork accepted this food with pleasure. He tossed frogs and caught them with his beak. A week later, he was on the mend. A wild bird, but he wasn't afraid of me at all. I could even hug a stork and it would freeze. Every day I started with a campaign for live food for my pet. I began to let him out of the chicken coop and walked beside him while he paced on the grass. And then took him back again. I just went inside and he followed me. I became so attached to the stork that I fiddled with him like a child. He threw back his head and cracked his beak, and I strove to hug this beautiful and proud bird. However, my father's vacation came to an end. We had to go home. Grandmother, due to her health, could not take care of the bird. The sister agreed. She lived not far from her grandmother and was ready to help in this matter. We said goodbye hard. The stork felt everything. As soon as I arrived, he immediately came out to meet me. I hugged him, stroked the rest of the wing, from which there was only one short stump. Night train to Moscow, sleeping car, only infrequent lights outside the window. I dozed off. Suddenly I saw my stork clearly. I know birds don't cry. Tears in birds are possible, but in those who drink salt water, and these are not emotions. Birds are not capable of this. But my stork was crying. I saw it clearly, albeit in a dream. Then a calm voice said to me,
"Hold him one last time, he says goodbye."
I hugged and woke up. There were tears in the eyes. I didn't know then. I found out only the next morning that the stork died that night. In the morning my sister, having come to feed, found him already cold. My sister also buried me, next to the lawn where I walked with him. And so my unexpected but strong friend came to say goodbye to me, who did not live a day without me.